HearChune, my friend and I were in St. Lawrence Gap. We saw two girls who were doing the dirty on the dance floor. We figured they were a lesbian couple, so I went over and asked if I could buy them both drinks. They were like, sure, but they were not a lesbian couple. They were mother and daughter. I was so confused. Once we got the drinks, it was like they went totally crazy. I sat down on a chair, and the youngest girl immediately starts walking up on me. Splitting on me. Handstanding on me. Kissing on me. I could not understand what was going on, but I was a young heartless shit, so I let it continue. My friend told me that the mother said her boyfriend came in, but it was fine, she would get rid of him. Later, the young girl disappeared. Her mom told me that her boyfriend came in, so she left. But not to worry, she would be back. My friend was a bit freaked out at the whole situation, so he decided to leave and hit another club, where an even weirder situation occurred, but that's another story. I waited a while and decided to leave. When I got outside of the club, I saw her and a young fella walking towards me. Her mom immediately walked towards the young fella, and the young girl walked towards me. She held my hand and walked with me. Her mother and the young boy walked behind. She told me that was her boyfriend. I continued to be confused. It was now like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I asked how she was getting home. She had no idea, so I offered to take her mom, and her boyfriend home. Everyone got into my Jeep. Long story short, I dropped off her mom and her boyfriend and smashed her before taking her home. I can't even remember her name. HearChune. One time, before COVID, I went to a fete with my girl. She drink and party hard. Woke up on me real whatless and had me ready for action. But then she went overboard with the drinking. So overboard that I had to help her to the car when the fete was done. She got effed up. I was about 3 minutes away from home when one of my side chicks messaged me asking what I doing. I took my girl home, tucked her into bed, made sure she was good, then back out door. I carried side chick down by hot pot, and I ain't got to tell you. By the time my girl woke up, I was back in bed like nothing happened. Word of advice, drink responsibly.
I saw this one live and direct. HearChune. I work at a certain retailer here in Barbados. A day we received a shipment of pigtails, and when one of my coworkers opened the container, a dead rat was in it. It was well preserved because of the salt. She immediately alerted everyone on the shift. The owner of the store came. Everyone was gathered round. He looked at it, picked the rat up by its tail, and in front his entire staff he said, F word. These pigtails going still sell. I have never eaten pork since.
HearChune. Y'all can call me Ice. Back in fourth form, I had a crush on a girl for a long time. Let's call her Gummy. And I finally got with her in the last year of school. There was this other girl that liked me, let's call her Bubbles. I liked her too, but Gummy was the girl of my dreams. The school pageant was coming up and naturally, I was going with Gummy, but Bubbles wanted to go with me because her boyfriend had beat up a fella at the school real bad, broke the fella's arm, leg, fingers and shit, so he got banned from going out. So, Bubbles and I decided to link up at the after party, as Gummy was going home right after the pageant. Fast forward to the night of the pageant and things were going perfectly. Gummy and I had a night out of a fairy tale. As anticipated, she had to go after the pageant ended, so I messaged Bubbles to let her know we could chill. Then, I made my first mistake of the night. My boy Joe was selling these brownies for $20 to $30, but as he was my boy, he gave me one for free 99. I broke it in half and ate one. Some fella came round begging, and being the selfish little shit I was, I stuffed the other half in my mouth. Let me also mention at this point, I had never, ever gotten high before, and had no idea what was about to happen. I had heard edibles take a long time to kick in, but in no time flat other children were lying on the concrete trying to make snow angels. I remember standing up in front the gutter and thinking it was the edge of the earth. Whilst I contemplated whether I had gone totally mad, Bubbles arrived. Music was playing, we were dancing and started to kiss on the dance floor. In my mind we were off in a corner, but in reality, we were right in the middle of the dance floor where everyone could see us. Just then, Gummy's best friend, let's call her Pear, walked up and asked if I had seen Gummy. She looked at me, she looked at Bubbles, and then said, don't bother. And walked off like lightning. I was yet very high, so I called my uncle to pick me up from the after party. When he arrived I got in his car, and his girlfriend at the time talked my ears off the whole ride for calling him to pick me up at 2 a.m. in the morning. Needless to say, the next day of school Gummy dumped me. I took that L and was back to being single. But truth be told, all is well that ends well, because I still ended up chopping Gummy, Bubbles and Pear in the future. So, was that really an L?
Got a short one for y'all. HearChune. One time when I was at university, my friend told me she was about to go down on her boyfriend, but when he whipped out his eggplant, the head was covered in a cheesy substance. Then she said she loved him and sucked it off, #swallowgang. I was like, Jesus Christ, and ran to the bathroom, and threw up.
HearChune. Back in secondary school my cousin and I were talking to these two friends, and Sheena. One evening we stayed at school extra late. The girls seemed to want to have sex, but I was scared cause I didn't have any condoms, plus I was a virgin so I was not sure I would be able to pull out in time, plus my mom had already told me not to bring home children to her so I was not opposed to punking out. I also had my cousin to consider. He wanted to do it with Sheena but she wouldn't do it unless, and I did it too. He begged and I agreed. It was like 7 o'clock at night and the girls were at the back of the stage in the hall waiting. I sat on a chair and sat on top of me. We began kissing and touching. It was dark back there, but I could see out the corner of my eye that Sheena and my cousin were doing the same thing. It intensified, I was squeezing her boxy and she trusted her pelvis into mine. Like any functioning teenager, I was hard as a cinder block at this point and she rubbed her kitty cat on it so I knew she could feel it. Just then, the door to the back of the stage bursts open. We all froze initially. It was an effing groundsman. He asked what we were doing in there. The girls bolted for the next door on the opposite side. He ran after them. Seeing this, my cousin and I ran into the hall to grab our backpacks, then we bolted to the bus stop where we found the girls. To be honest, I was a bit relieved cause I didn't want to lose my virginity in a back room of a school hall, plus when we got in the bus I fingered all the way to town.
This is one I only tell to my closest friends. HearChune. One morning my boyfriend woke up in a particularly good mood. He offered to make breakfast and served me in bed. He feed me fruits and all. He got the oils out and start to give me a massage. Next I thought he was going down a kinky line cause he blindfold me and led me to a chair to sit down. Then, he tied me to a chair and I was so excited cause I about all da kinda ting. But when D-man take off D blindfold, he had my phone in my face to a conversation I was having with another fella I was talking to. D-man, flip B. He take out a knife and threatened to kill me. And everybody in D house. I never see D-man so in my life. When he finally calmed down and untied me, I blocked every man in my phone. Even the man that give me D phone. We never talk about it after and I keeping my ass quiet. It ain't worth it.
HearChune. A couple years back 2 of my buddies and I went into Gap and party hard in Old Jammin'. We met 3 Jamaican girls at some point and I was super drunk so I agreed to take them home. About 3 a.m. in the morning now, everybody get in my van. I was so drunk out of my mind I drove straight by my side chick's house and beat on D door. When she came to the door I ain't asked no questions, I start D love making right there. Right at the door I lift she up, put she punda eggplant and walked her to her bedroom where I proceeded to put down an Olympics-worthy performance. She kept so much noise I know her mother in the next room could hear us. The next morning I got woke up to a warm breakfast. I went to the table and her mother nodded at me with a look of disapproval. She said, "You ain't no use." I immediately started to apologize for coming in drunk and keeping noise, but she stopped me. She was like, "That's not the problem. Who are those people in your car?"